Kennard Self-Storage CEO Sam Kennard has put out a call to arms to drop suppliers from China, and Sam joins me now live. Sam, appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, you've made this call to review supply contracts and preference non-Chinese made products where possible. Why have you made this call?
I've just seen the behaviour lately of China retaliating to our request for an examination of what happened with COVID with a trade response, and it sort of agitated me and my leadership team that sort of Australian businesses would be harmed by China for something that's so sort of everyday to an Australian is to examine a problem, to run an inquiry. So it occurred to me that why would I sort of want to engage with a country or companies or that seeks to harm our country? And so I thought, why don't we explore other suppliers, other countries that we can get products from?
In terms of your business, Kennard Self-Storage, how much of that do you rely on China?
We're a pretty low consumer of Chinese products. I mean, at the consumable level for our customers, it's plastics. Our boxes come from Australia, and it's our padlocks. So they're sort of daily needs that our customers might use. We also develop our properties ourselves. So there's a range of technology and a range of parts of the buildings that we might source from China. So we'll be looking at what we can get elsewhere as well.
Okay, so only a small portion of your business actually.
You're not going to move the needle.
You're not going to move the needle, but only a small portion. But you still maintain that you're going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, it's sort of an ethical decision, I think. That people make ethical decisions about where they take their business, and I sort of don't feel comfortable while China is behaving like that to Australians. Why we shouldn't sort of say, well, why do that to us? Why should we continue to trade with you if you won't do that? Reciprocate that to us.
And what's been the feedback? Because you made the announcement on social media a few days ago that this was the direction that the business would be taking. What's been the feedback you've received?
Yeah, well, I didn't expect such an enormous flood of support. Actually, like on Twitter, I'm not on Facebook, but on Twitter and LinkedIn, the flood of support has been incredible, and that's quite unusual for Twitter. Twitter's normally a pile-on of kind of grievance and point out your flaws, but on Twitter it's actually been good on you, thumbs up, we're right behind you. More people should do this. So it's been quite amazing, and on LinkedIn, lots of private messages. Old contacts from someone in Japan. It came across his feed, and he sent me an email and said, "I like what you're doing." Yeah.
Well, you're making this call to arms for other businesses to follow suit, but overall, how difficult will that be? If you look at big companies like Harvey Norman, for example, they have a very heavy reliance on China for furnishings, or Bunnings, for example. How difficult could that be to just completely boycott?
Yeah, I think it will be difficult. Supply chains are not really very transactional. They have deep set history with relationships being built, quality standards being kind of agreed, prices, shipping timelines, and these things that you can't chop off quickly. It's something you need to sort of work towards changing and get to a place where you've got other options, and that's what we're doing. We're just going to say, well, what do padlocks from Taiwan look like, or Vietnam, or Singapore or Malaysia? What are the options there? Because we've never really examined that, so we're just going to do that.
And have you already started to make these changes, or how long will it take?
Yeah, so this triggered because we had a review of these supply chains, these suppliers coming up, and it was just in the context of seeing how the Chinese Communist government had responded to wine and beef and lobsters to us. And I thought, why should we do that? So the guys have already reached out to our suppliers, our kind of importers or suppliers and producers, and said, well, please look around for other suppliers of the stuff we buy from you, and we'll be going to other distributors as well. So they already know.
And as a CEO of a company, as a businessman yourself, how concerned are you by these ongoing hostilities? It's been ongoing, as you said, for the last, for some time, but in the last week in particular, it's been pretty bad. How worried are you?
Yeah, well, anyone could be next. It's kind of unilateral. You don't know what they're going to do, and it sort of doesn't seem reasonable. And there's a sort of a saying about friendship, your best friends are the ones that want the best for you. And I can't see this as, something that a good friend would do to someone. So, it sort of doesn't put them at a bit of a distance to us. And I think I'd just like them to sort of engage constructively with Australian business, be reasonable, and let's trade freely with each other, and that would be the best outcome for everybody.
Well, you'd certainly hope so, but at the moment I don't think anyone's answering calls by the sounds of it. Sam Kennard, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks, Annika.